Let's have the prayer, please. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up by narrow domestic walls, where words come from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way, into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee, into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. May we have now the song number 3. Kindly be seated. Good evening and welcome to the 86th Founders Day. A warm welcome to our chief guest, Bhavesh Agarwal, co-founder and CEO of Ola Cabs, Chairman of the board, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, members of the board, members of IPSS, boys and girls, my colleagues at the Doon School, DOSCOs, parents, and guests who have logged in. Thank you very much, Bhavesh, for taking out time to encourage and inspire our students. Last October, when I presented the headmaster's report in virtual mode, only the school captain was with me, representing the emotions and spirit of the boys and girls. I'd hoped I would be able to present my report in person in 2021. My wish has been partially granted. School Captain Narath Patnaik, many of the students, and all my colleagues on the teaching, administration, and support staff are here today. With luck and God's grace, the Rose Bowl will be full next year. The school invited the boys back for the spring and autumn terms. In April this year, we had abruptly switched back to virtual mode as the second wave unfolded with dramatic speed. In this autumn, we are hopefully journeying towards normalcy. Of course, with our fingers crossed and with a prayer on our lips. In these unusual times, the masters, the administration team, the housemasters and the dames, the CDH staff and the school medical team need to be commended for the role they have played in ensuring optimal care and smooth logistics. Despite the extremely short notice that was given, details and protocols were such beautifully followed, which allowed our boys to travel and remain safe. We are assuming that COVID-19 will be here for a while longer and are accordingly prepping our systems and the boys and girls to adjust to a new normal. Our journey towards becoming an institution of academic excellence while maintaining the focus on all-round holistic development continues to gain momentum. And for this, the teaching and support staff can claim a fair bit of credit. The masters set aside vacation time to work with the students of SC and A forms through the December-January winter study camps. Each student received personalized learning opportunities and worked closely with the teachers, and the outcomes are visible. The IGCSE batch had 84 students who opted for a total of 685 certificates. 79% of the certificates were in the range of A star to A, and 98% of the certificates were in the range of A star to C. That's commendable. A total of 57 students took the ISC examination this year and scored a batch average of 89.7%. 54% students secured a grade 1, that is 90% and above. In IB, all the 33 students who appeared got their diploma with an average grade of 38 out of a maximum permissible grade of 45. While we had students who secured the maximum permissible grade, nearly 40% scored between 40 and 45, and nearly 73% scored above 36 grade points. In the last 2 years, if there is one sector in India, ladies and gentlemen, that can be singled out for a dramatic change and the transformation, it is the education sector. If the pandemic reeled in the future of digital learning, the new education policy will redefine and reframe pedagogy and skill building in the coming few years. At Doon, we are lucky in some ways that most of the templates suggested in the NEP are already being practiced here. Of course, we too have to undergo our share of evolution in a rapidly changing world that will require reskilling and unlearning on our part as educators. Yet, the 2020s will also be an exciting time for all our students who will be spoilt for choices, options, and opportunities. The Doon School is regularly counseling its students to ensure they are aware of the various directions that their life they can move in. We are also in conversation with the top universities and colleges to ensure a smoother passage for higher studies in India and overseas. Our career counseling department continues to work actively with the admission office in India and abroad. Despite the pandemic, it was possible to set up pathways for our students. Thanks to the strong and continuing support from the DSOBS, students were able to take part in virtual fairs. A number of talks were also held to prepare senior boys for university admissions. The efforts seem to have paid off, and most members of the class of 2021 were able to secure admission in reputed institutions in India and abroad. Extracurricular activities and social service programs are the integral part of the Doon School. The mode of learning, and full credit must go to my colleagues in the teaching staff for sustaining momentum throughout the year. A special shout out to those who helped conduct the community service sessions and those in charge of SUPWs and the various clubs, societies, and publications. To help our students grow, we have many opportunities like MUNs, debates, inter and intra-national competitions, state competition, district competitions. I would like to encourage our students to participate in them actively. This will not only help them build their portfolios, but also to enhance the balances in the experience banks. Many students are already well on this path. As the year progressed, our students virtually participated in Kamla Jeevan debates, the Chakrabarti Memorial debates, YEC, Global Tigers Day, the Spanish Day, the German Day, and of course the Hindi Divas Day, to name the few. Round Square and DSMUN were also executed flawlessly amidst a record number of participants this year. DOSCOs also won the Aaj Tak debates organized by the Vasant Valley School and the recently concluded JTM Gibson Memorial that is organized by Mayo College Ajmer. The Doon School also won the prestigious International Space Settlement Development Competition for the first time. This being the 75th year of India's independence, our inter-school film festival had freedom as its theme. The festival featured a wonderful address by Mr. Nasiruddin Shah, while our former headmaster, Dr. Kanti Bajpai, spoke about idea of India. The future will increasingly belong not just to youth who relate to the real world, but also to those who are good decision makers. So at one level, while we are investing time, resources, and energy on increasing the exposure level of our boys and girls, we are also trying to improve their ability to take decisions. DOSCOs are regularly a part of the decision making at the school. We've now raised the bar a notch in the last few years. During our admission interview round, our council members sat down with the selection committee during the interview phase of the new admissions. In this manner, they had a say in deciding which students should be called a DOSCO and who would be a part of the community and who would be contributing to the growth and development of their school. Ladies and gentlemen, sports, a very integral part of the Doon School life. During the pandemic, we started a highly successful online fitness program for the entire school, involving physical literacy, knowledge related to rules and regulations of various sports, yoga, breathing exercises, etc., to develop speed, endurance, strength, flexibility, and agility. Masters and students prepared small videos to make the learning more effective. The Doon School also became an active member of the Fit India program and participated in all the events organized by them. 9 students participated in the state shooting championship and 3 of them qualified for the nationals. We started regular training sessions of hockey, cricket, football, tennis, table tennis, basketball, and badminton as soon as the DOSCO started returning to school, while also sustaining interest in specific sports in the digital world. Tennis enthusiasts started a series of tennis podcasts, while members of the sports fraternity initiated an online masterclass where players and coaches of international repute spoke to our students. I want to mention about the funding support from our alumni. We wish to thank all those who supported the Doon School this year. Your support is especially important at a time like this and has helped us tide over a difficult period. First, I would like to thank the DSOBS and the members of the IPSS who made some of the largest collective donation to the scholarship fund. We also thank Mr. Franz Armand, whose charitable foundation in Germany will fully fund the entire education of 2 students. We are also grateful to Mr. C. Ramakrishna, who had bequeathed a handsome amount in his will to the school. He will be remembered for his generosity and will enshrine his legacy through a smart classroom that is being named after him. For the renovation of the MPH, the gifts made by Mr. Munjal and Mr. Amit Soni have helped us advance the project despite the testing times. The multi-purpose hall is being repurposed to function like an auditorium, and we look forward to operationalizing it very soon. We are grateful also to the class of 2002 for supporting a smart classroom at the main building in memory of Nadir Babikon and Karanveer Chabra. Thanks are also due to Guha Roy family and the class of 1999 for supporting the gazebo in memory of Mrinal Guha Roy near the pavilion. The class of 2004 has supported the gazebo near the CDH in memory of Saket Kashyap and Animes Sabarna. I also would like to thank Gaurav and Elizabeth Seth, who currently support the school through the cricket scholarship. They have now come forward to support all-weather cricket nets that have been commissioned near the basketball courts behind K&H House. We thank you all for your gifts for the development of the school and the campus. Ladies and gentlemen, at the Doon School, we help the students develop their souls and inner voices while ensuring their growth. If our boys and girls can move on in life even after being locked up in their homes for months together, it is because of the values, relationships, and friendships built at the Doon. During the worst weeks and months, our students have stayed in touch virtually and constantly, reminiscing the good times and acting as each other's support system. The spirit of camaraderie is something we as educators and stakeholders should cherish and take great pride in, because it is something few other schools have been able to offer over the last 18 months. We all know that it is the dream of many parents in India to send their boys to the Doon School. And yet, I'm asked this more often than once: what makes Doon School different from other schools? In the relatively short period that I've been here, I have learned there are three things set as a DOSCO apart from his or her counterparts in other institutions. The first is the bond of friendships. These are usually lifelong and stronger than what I have seen in most of the other schools. The second is the sense of belonging with the school. This attachment is also lifelong in most of the cases. The third is a deep desire in every DOSCO to support and be part of one's community wherever he or she is. DOSCOs are members of an aristocracy of service, a tenet laid down by school's founding fathers. The aristocracy of service was put to test during the worst months of the pandemic, when a severe oxygen crisis gripped the entire country. I'm happy to report the Doon School boys, along with the alumni community, stood up to the counted in the darkest hours. Our boys across the states and cities were actively involved in arranging oxygen cylinders and in supporting their communities in different ways. No clarion call was issued. No coaxing was required. Our boys volunteered selflessly, and this commitment didn't surprise any one of us, as service is a way of life for every DOSCO. Today, Doon School students have made their mark as entrepreneurs, change makers, doctors, engineers, business heads, philanthropists, and not to forget, educationists. While in school, hidden qualities are identified by masters and coaches, this allows our students to flower and flourish in the spheres of their choice without pressure. We appreciate, understand, and respect the truth that eventual success need not necessarily always originate in the classroom or the sports field. It could emanate from the drama club or the woodwork room or anywhere else in the campus. I earlier mentioned 3 reasons why the Doon School stands out. Let me add a 4th reason. This institution offers a uniquely calm environment that frees the mind. Dehradun today is a far cry from the Dehradun of even the early 2000s. Sparrows have mostly abandoned Dehradun, but continue to live in Chandbagh. The calm environment encourages our students to sit and reflect and introspect. Perhaps this experience makes them calmer than purely city-bred peers. In the radical times era that we have entered, I firmly believe that developing this inner peace will prove to be the greatest asset that our children will ever possess. I would like to end here by reading out a few selected lines from Desiderata, a poem by Max Ehrmann. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even to the dull and the ignorant. They too have the story. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as grass. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars, you have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. It is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. Thank you. God bless. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Doon School honors its teachers for the long years of service done at the school. It's my proud privilege now to invite Dr. Arvindanab Shukla to receive the Long Service Award as he completes his 30 years of service at Doon School. Let's hear it for Dr. Shukla. We can truly see that respect, the way you have been given a standing ovation, Dr. Shukla. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request the Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, to deliver his address.
Let me start by acknowledging the challenging times that we are all in. The situation created by COVID-19 has by no measure gone away, and the virtual founders that we did last year made us expect that was a one-off. fortunately, we have moved forward, that we have part virtual and part digital. So what you nowadays call a phygital, also a first for Doon School, a true jugalbandi of technology and physical presence of people. I also want to offer our sympathies for the many who have suffered in the recent rain, thunder showers, and the floods that took place in Uttarakhand. Let me welcome our chief guest, Bhavish Agarwal, Headmaster Dr. Jagpreet Singh, my friends and colleagues on the board, IPSS members, parents, boys and girls, members of the teaching, administrative, and the hospital staff, members of the support staff that keep the entire school machinery running, my fellow DOSCOs, guests who've logged in, Narat Patnaik, the school captain, prefects, monitors, ladies and gentlemen. We have attempted to run as normal a Founders Day as possible under these strange and unusual circumstances. Many of the normal activities of founders have already been run. We had a play which will be available on the net for people to watch and appreciate. We had the debates take place, and as always, lively and spirited. Congratulations to the DOSCOs who won and to the DOSCOs in school who got experience. Good luck to each of the teams and absolutely wonderful spirit. We also had our chief guest spend time with the SC formers. While none of us are physically present other than the entire school team, or almost the entire school team, we did have the chief guest, as they often do, spend time with the SC formers, and the feedback was absolutely wonderful. So a big thank you to you, Narat, for moderating the session, and to Bhavish for being available to spend time and share his experiences and stories from his life. Sorry. I'm delighted to address the founders, but as I said, the only regret is that one cannot be physically present on a campus, which I believe is looking absolutely fantastic right now. There is no happier sight than seeing a nation move towards a light after a long, what looked like a dark tunnel. Vehicles are back on the road. People are going out, visiting theaters, traveling, getting back to schools, colleges, and universities. And we have, of course, seen our fair share now at Doon School. We have close to 400 of the students back on campus now, and the entire teaching and administrative staff has stayed there through the COVID period. My compliments, congratulations, and a big thank you to the entire team at the school, which has managed this very complex period in a manner that it looked smooth from the outside. It truly was like a duck paddling feverishly while looking calm to the rest of the world. I do know, because I was in constant touch with the school, as to the number of initiatives, activities, and changes that had to be made to ensure a smooth and a safe stay for those who were on campus, and a smooth transition from homes to the campus for those who came in. And as you know, we did this twice. First, being partially successful, because we did have to send the students back after the big wave hit India in April, May. Second time now, when we did learn from whatever we believe did not go well the first time, and we have taken active advice from hospitals, healthcare experts, and also professionals who do this for a living. And which is the reason I want to ensure and assure all the parents that they understand we are attempting to do what is the best possible under the circumstances to keep everybody safe and yet fully engaged. We also saw, even in this time, a few of the boys turned positive after they reached school from home, but we had made appropriate arrangements of quarantine and safely keeping them segregated from the rest of the school population, but giving them full facilities to attend classes and to participate in other indoor activities while they stay segregated from the rest. Fortunately, none of them has come down with any extreme symptoms or fevers. So we hope that things will remain safe and continue in the school as they are today. Both the headmasters, school authorities, and I have received numerous messages from deformed boys' parents as to why they cannot be called in. And the reason is exactly this. We want to go by the expert advice and keep all of the precautions that are necessary to ensure that we are able to maintain health and safety for all on the campus. We have, I think the headmaster in his last letter has informed parents that in the next term we will invite the deformed boys too, to ensure that there is sufficient information of what's going on. We have constantly remained in touch with the parents, with the IPSS members, with the DSOBS, and with other members of the Doon School universe to ensure that we over-communicate rather than under-communicate, as was pointed out to us in the early days. And we took that feedback and we changed the system in which we were constantly remaining in touch with parents through emails, phone calls, video conferences, and wherever feasible and safe, a few select physical meetings. And this, I believe, has allowed us to successfully have the school run in as normal a manner as possible under these current circumstances. It's said that the best tailors in the world are those who measure many times and cut just once. Before COVID-19, it was always possible to plan and to measure things multiple times. But that luxury disappeared with the onset of this virus. And a completely new and unique set of skills had to be learned in responding with alacrity, at the same time being deliberate about what we do and attempting to be thoughtful at lightning speed. The hard yards put in by the leadership and the entire support team of the school certainly has borne fruit and deserves our compliment. On behalf of all of us, I would like to say a big thank you to each and every one of them, especially the medical, hospital, the healthcare staff, the admin staff, the masters and teachers, the deans, the house masters. It has been completely unprecedented. And but they do say that when you are up against difficulty, you're also face to face with a discovery. We discovered this about ourselves, that we have the capacity to change at a speed that one would not have imagined possible earlier. Switching from physical classes to delivering virtual, not just the classes, but also communicating with parents, encouraging sports, encouraging spare time activities when all the students were home. And a big thank you to the parents and the families who played the big role of the caretakers, supports, and guides to the students while they were at school in their homes. This is truly a partnership, and we hope to continue this in the future as well, to have the families play an active role along with what we do at the school. And I also have a task to thank the many, since this is my last founder's speech as chairman. As you all know, the term gets over at the AGM, which is separate now from the founders since the last few years. For me, this is the last, as it is the last founders for some of our board members. So I do want to take a few minutes to say a few thank yous for the wonderful experience that I have had and the amazing work done by each of the individuals. And please forgive me if I miss out some of the names. There are many who have contributed to the success of the school all the way through its ups and downs. I worked with Matthew Raggett as the headmaster earlier, and a big thank you to him. And now with Dr. Jagpreet Singh, who came in the school during the COVID period itself and stepped directly into a situation which I don't believe any headmaster would have done earlier. A big thank you to Matthew and Dr. Jagpreet. A big thank you to you for taking on this challenge. I also want to say thank you to some of the board members who were there earlier when I started. Indresh, Sumanjit, Alok, Arvind, and some of the others. An amazing support from each one of them. Alok kicked off this diversity drive with amazing energy. Sumanjit put in a tremendous amount of time into CDC, which now Arun Khanna is now doing. Arvind Nigam gave us a tremendous amount of support in managing the legal and compliance of the school. And now that Kishore, our new board member, took this on, and Kishore unfortunately has not been well over the last few months, Arvind stepped in again to offer that support. So big thank you, Alok and Arvind. Indresh set a tone for ensuring that the school maintains discipline in how it gathers, spends, and records funds. And Rahul has more than continued this trend. He has ensured a better economic viability on a sustainable basis. So a big thank you, Rahul. For Rahul too, this is the last founders as a board member. Rahul has been an active and a very engaged member of the board. I truly appreciate your support, Rahul. And Rahul and I have had many conversations offline other than the board meetings to figure out how this period would be managed when we had no or few students and certainly lower fees. How do we actually manage to ensure that you manage costs in a manner that the school remains viable? And I think this has been done with excellent balancing of all the needs of the school and financing and being conscious of the parents' needs to bring down their cost and burden. So big thank you, Rahul. The other one for whom this is the last founders is Samir. Thank you, Samir. Samir Kukreja has been a wonderful addition to the board. Young and energetic, I believe for a lot of the time, Samir was the youngest member on the board. And he contributed to the school in just numerous ways in bringing in his knowledge of nutrition and food to help the CDH. Of course, many of us still complain that the food in school is just too good compared to what it was like when we were there. And now when we go there, it looks like a treat, but it is balanced and it is now being monitored by nutritionists as well. And Samir also led the entire initiative for the school's technology engagement. As some of you may be aware, this is one of the pillars on which the new development plan is being implemented. And Samir and his colleagues on the technology committee have done a tremendous job adding both to the hardware, software, process, and systems in the school. Thank you, Samir, for this absolutely wonderful contribution to the school. I think we are all better for it. I also want to acknowledge the wonderful engagement between the school, the IPSS, and the DSOBS. I worked with Bull first, who brought in an amazing amount of energy to the service aspect of the DOSCOs, and then with Rahul Kohli, who brought in his own style with big focus on sustainability and care. And now with Tarun, adding things like nutrition, reaching out to communities. Both Tarun and Samir have done a fantastic job in recent times in supporting communities, as you heard from the headmaster, setting up oxygen plants, and then also continuing activities of sports, debates, and other engagements. So thank you very much, Tarun, to you, as also earlier to Rahul and Bull. And I'd like to welcome Samir as he walks into the hot seat. This is truly a tremendous role that the community of Allens plays for the school. And we have had a tremendously active engagement between the IPSS and the DSOBS. And my thanks also go out to the entire community of the IPSS members who give us ideas, support, take us off when they think we are not going in the right direction, keep us honest and straight. And I think this is a truly valuable contribution that all of us get from the IPSS. To the other current board members, they deserve a big thank you. Each one of them has done something which needs special mention. Arun Khanna took on the role of the CDC, and over the last 20 odd years, the school has done a lot of work on infrastructure, in maintaining, in improving, in building. Arun took on some massive projects, probably amongst the largest taken on in the last few decades, in revamping the multipurpose hall into a true, fully equipped hall, which will be used for multiple uses. I believe the hall is actually ready to be used within the next week or so. The swimming pool has been taken up for a complete redo, including setting up the right dimensions, heating in the pool, better facilities, pre and post swimming. And the sporting facilities have got a big boost. Not only have we improved the badminton, tennis, gyms around all the houses, we've also added a new set of glass enclosed squash courts. So each of these new facilities will become operational in the coming weeks and months. Big thank you for that to you, Arun. Anup Singh Bishnoi is playing a stellar role in fundraising for the school, and at the same time creating processes which will allow us to reach out in the most appropriate manner for contributions both large and not so large, by building a process of responsiveness, building a donation tree, and a much more active, engaged reach out program to the communities of DOSCOs and non-DOSCOs. So big thank you, Anup. Truly appreciate that. Valentina has taken on something which is absolutely wonderful. We have often questioned, and as the headmaster said, he gets asked this question, so do all of us. What is unique about Doon School? Why is this considered the best school? Why does it have a society of those who pass out of the school, who remains friends for life, who make friends whether they are 17 years old or 71 years old, they can communicate with each other as if there's no barrier amongst them. So Valentina is helping put together a Doon lore, stories, incidents, ideas, learnings from Doon School, from when it started, from the founders. And interestingly, she sent me a message only yesterday while the DSOBS AGM was going on. I mentioned that this is one of the things we are doing at school to ensure continuity, because boards will come and go. Chairmen will come and go. Headmasters will change. The staff will transition. But Doon School should and must go on in the same spirit in which it was originally designed. And big thank you for doing this, Valentina. Amit has been a great addition to the school. Amit has been an anchor for DOSCOs in New York for a very long time, hosting dinners, get-togethers for the entire community over the last decade and a half, and supporting lots and lots of young DOSCOs as they get to foreign shores with ideas, with support, with connections to education and connections to jobs. So Amit, you have been a tremendous support, and I was lucky to attend another dinner at Amit's place only about a week or 10 days ago. In his home, he invited 15 young DOSCOs this time, and it was an absolute delight for me to be able to spend that evening with all of them. Ishat Hussain is our senior guide and mentor. We all look up to him because of the experience he has. It is an absolute delight to listen to his seasoned comments, and it often brings us down to reality sometimes when we seem to be flying off in one direction or the other. Ishat is both a voice of modernity, a voice of sobriety, a voice of thoughtfulness. Big thank you to you, Ishat. You heard from the headmaster, who, by the way, as we all know, is an active sports person himself, that we want to ensure that the spirit of the Doon School education remains on all around focus of full development as we focus on building the pillar of academics even stronger. So we are looking to up the game for sports. And Sanjay Kapoor has taken on this role and responsibility on the board. So big thank you, Sanjay. He has some wonderful ideas. This is a committee which has recently been set up and is just getting started. Sanjay, already in this very short time, has come up with multiple ideas of what to do in a number of the sports, the facilities, the software, the training, the coaching, the nutrition, and a host of other initiatives, which will allow us to keep the sports as an active part of the Doon School engagement. I have a lot of things to say, but time is short, so I'm going to bring this to the next few themes and subjects that I wanted to just bring about for your information before I close. Over the last few years, there was an active engagement and discussion and debate on the number of boards that the school deals and works with. We have a 3-board system at 2 different levels, as you're all aware. And we set up a committee chaired by the Education Committee. Arun Kapoor did a wonderful job in engaging with the entire set of communities inside the school as also outside, by bringing in expertise from the board, from the school, from IPSS, and from others outside. And the final decision, after doing all of the surveys, conversations, and discussions, was that we will have 2 sets of 2 boards. One for the B and A form, and the second for the S and SC. The S and SC will remain as they are, with IB and with the ISC. But for the earlier 2 years, in addition to the IGCSE that we currently run, we will add ICSE as well. So we will have an Indian stream running through, and we will have a global stream running through, to ensure that our students not only get to pick their passion, they get to make the choices for themselves as to what is the path they want to choose in their careers, in their lives, in their education going forward. And we believe this will give them the best opportunities to get a leg up in their move forward to building themselves into responsible adults, which we hope all DOSCOs become eventually. I also want to thank the school faculty. The entire teachers deliberated on this extensively. And this was an exercise done from not just a top down, but from inside the school, from all of the teachers' ideas and contribution. And they have assured us that this set of boards will work well for them, for the school, and for the students. So a big thank you to the entire community at school. While on school, I also want to say a big thank you to Kamal. Kamal Ahuja took on the role when Matthew left as the acting headmaster and took this on literally on a one-day notice. When he was requested, he immediately said yes. And Arun Kapoor gave fantastic support to the school at that time. So big thank you to both of you. The leadership team in school does deserve more than our normal thank you. Stuti taking on the role of providing pastoral care. Incidentally, the first female head for pastoral care. And I think Stuti was a trendsetter, because one of the things that we have all talked about is diversity, creating additional diversity in the school, which Ravi is chairing as a committee and has continued the work that was being done earlier by Alok. And I want to thank Ravi for a very innovative idea, not just of going out and talking to people, but actually preparing students who would otherwise not have applied to Doon School because their parents can certainly not afford the fee that the Doon School charges. While Doon School fees are not the highest, as we all know, but they are high enough for many people that they're out of reach. So a prep program for even sitting for the exam, so that eventually you only focus on merit and you pick those students who have the ability to get through the test, but are given the appropriate tools to be able to do that, and then offer them scholarships. As you're all aware, and I've said this on more than one occasion, our attempt will be to continue to expand the financial support program at Doon School, so more and more parents can send their boys to the school and not have to worry excessively on what it costs, because the school will provide support all the way from 10-20% of the fees, all the way up to 120% of the fees, to also meet some additional living costs for those who do not have the ability to do this for themselves. So this is a tremendous program. And as you know, we also launched a program to reach out to the armed forces just 3 years ago. And I have to say the response has been absolutely wonderful. So big thank you to Arjun and Anupama, who have led the outreach for this. And Arjun, of course, has done a lot of work alongside Anup for the fundraising and for being the touch point for all DOSCOs. So Arjun, a big thank you to you. Anupama has been a pillar for the board and for the IPSS conversations and a lot of the admin issues and the HR issues in school. So Anupama, a big thank you to you. Your work is truly appreciated. One of the things we have done on diversity is on the campus itself. A few years ago, we had only 2 or 3 females on the campus. I have to acknowledge and say a big thank you now. We have 32% female staff on campus now. I think this is certainly a step in the right direction. And I want to thank all those who are contributing. And I want to welcome this community to be part of the Doon School, as we know the Doon School both needs and deserves. This process work that we said we will improve has continued, even going to the extent of automating and virtualizing the entire admission process, including the tests for the school, and automating the entire process of compliances. We, after full diligence and appraisal, found there are over 800 compliances that school is required to keep up with. And all of those have been automated and put on a system which Kishore and Arvind and the others have helped I also want to say a big thank you to all our service providers, our legal advisors, our auditors, our company secretaries, both inside and outside, our financial advisors, our internal auditors. Each of them has helped us continue to excel at what we do and allow us to focus sharply on the school's main mission, which incidentally we discovered when we started the exercise to develop the next development plan for the 15 years, taking the school to 1935, which would be the centenary of the school, that the original mission still holds good. The implementation of the development plan with 9 pillars has begun, and it is an amazing exercise that is being done to create a sustainable future for the school, whether it is on academics or on holistic developments or becoming a magnet for the best teachers, or it's to embrace digitization or technology. So it's in this manner a holistic plan that will help Doon School build itself into not just the best school in the country, but to be counted amongst the leading institutions in the school. And we had also asked for a matrix, independent matrix to be developed where we can objectively see where we are, where we excel, where we are lacking, to be able to constantly build a continuous improvement program into the school as well. And this has been a truly an enriching experience. And this involved thousands of individuals from the school and outside. And this is an exercise, I think, that will hold the school in good stead in future and continue to allow it to retain its leadership position and build on this in the future. I also want to say thank you to our Dean of Academics, our Dean of our Director of Administration, and our Finance Controller. These are the other senior individuals who help keep the school running smoothly, with many, many others working with them. Big thank you to all of you. Big thank you to the parents for trusting us with the lives and the future of your families. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Munjal, for your address. And thank you for being always there to show us the path. Particularly to me, anytime when I need advice, you've just been a call away. Thank you for being there always for the school, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have a very important event, and that is we are releasing our yearbook. And to release the yearbook, may I please invite on the stage here a young boy who's worked extremely hard with Narath Patnaik, Jahan Sehgal. If I may invite Jahan Sehgal and Narath Patnaik to join me in releasing the yearbook. Ladies and gentlemen, now for the most awaited. We are this time having not really a speech by our chief guest, rather we will be having an interaction with our chief guest, Mr. Bhavish Agarwal, in conversation with our chairman, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal. But before I do that, it becomes my duty to welcome our chief guest and read out a little citation on him. Bhavesh Agarwal is the founder and CEO of Ola, India's largest mobility platform. With a mission of building mobility for 1 billion people, he started Ola in 2010. Prior to Ola, Bhavesh was at IIT Mumbai, worked with Microsoft Research, filing 2 patents and having 3 papers published in international journals. Today, Ola is one of India's most valuable organizations with over 2.5 million driver partners, serving over 250 million customers across 3 continents. Ola continues to move the world to sustainable mobility through its ride-hailing platform as well as through advanced electric vehicles manufactured at its future factory, the largest, most advanced and sustainable 2-wheeler factory in the world. Ola also operates its new auto retail platform with Ola Cars, bringing seamless digital buying, selling, and ownership of vehicles to consumers. Ola is dedicated to transitioning to the world to sustainable mobility and making the world better than we found it. I now invite you, the chairman, to have an interaction with Mr. Bhavesh.
Thank you, Headmaster, and welcome, Bhavesh. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest. I know you had a wonderful interaction yesterday with the SC formers, and they had, by the way, given us great feedback of how you were both inspiring and seemed approachable. So big thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me and for having me. And yesterday's interaction was actually a very energizing interaction for me. And I was interacting with such bright youngsters, and some of the questions they asked were, frankly, questions that even 40, 50-year-olds don't ask. So the future looks bright, right? So really excited to be here.
Interestingly, they asked some of the questions I had thought I would ask today. So, so maybe I'll repeat some of them because this is a much larger audience, or maybe I'll skip. So let me first start. You had a very colorful life so far. You're young, but in this young period, you've actually had a very rich experience. Of course, I can claim some credit coming from the same city that you and I were brought up in.
Yes.
So let me go there for a minute, actually. This city has produced, incidentally, for everyone's benefit, Bhavesh grew up in Ludhiana while he was not born there, but that's where his parents were, that's where he grew up. And Ludhiana as a city seems to have produced some unique leaders and entrepreneurs in different walks of life, especially in business. People say there's something special about that place, but they do say that about a few other places as well. Do you think there's anything to these kind of beliefs, or is it just wild beliefs?
No, sir, I think it's a very relevant point you start off with. Just a quick background. I grew up in Ludhiana. My parents are doctors in Ludhiana. They're still in Ludhiana. So in that sense, I grew up in a very comfortable middle-class upbringing, good values, middle-class upbringing. My father, mother, both have their own small medical practice in Ludhiana. And so, like you said, there's something special about small town India in general. The kind of fire, ambition, aspiration that we all have growing up in small towns. There's something unique about that. As a child growing up, I remember always wanting to look beyond the mountain and see, what does a Delhi look like? What does a Bombay look like? I want to go to those cities, learn about those places, contribute in those cities, or even internationally. And there's that fire which is there in every small town or every tier 2 city boy and girl. And I think that's what also makes Ludhiana special. And in addition to that, like you said, there are such illustrious people who have hailed from Ludhiana, people like yourselves and the whole Hero Group, people like Mr. Mittal. There's so many connections Ludhiana has in the world of business that it, as a young child growing up, you do look up to them and say, "Mujhe bhi aisa banna hai. I also want to do my bit in the world of business." Right? I remember when I was a school kid in one of the top schools in Ludhiana, people all around me were from business families. And I always used to wonder what is a business family, right? So I think there's something about the culture of business and the culture of entrepreneurship that is ingrained in Ludhiana.
Thank you. You know, you started, I believe, in 2008 or something, a blog or looking at India's technologists, new entrepreneurs. So clearly, you were a little bit ahead of your time, because this recognition of startups and innovation is only very recent by the larger communities in India.
Mhm.
What made you kind of look at this as something to do and something to focus on?
So, sir, when I was in Ludhiana after I finished my schooling, I went to IIT Bombay to study engineering, and I was lucky enough to get into the college. And my time at IIT Bombay really opened me up to so many different experiences and exposures in life, and a very wide variety of friends and connections. It was in IIT Bombay that I got exposed to technology, that I got exposed to business communities, and also, when you get into a place like IIT, you feel, coming from Ludhiana, you would have topped your city or state, and you feel like you're on top of the world. And when you get into IIT, you realize you're just one of the 500 other people. Right? There's nothing special about you. So your hunger comes back again, and you have to prove yourself again, and you have to rebuild yourself with a unique perspective and differentiation. So in that sense, my own interests started going deeper into technology, and I used to find myself reading about technology companies in the West late into the nights in my dorm room in college. So when I got my job, when I graduated in 2008 and got my first job at Microsoft, I decided I'll start something on the side, which is just to chronicle the Indian technology industry's journey. And at that time in 2008, there was nothing. So I started chronicling, and there was nothing to chronicle. so, so 2 years I worked at Microsoft in that job, and then I decided, instead of chronicling, let me actually try my hand at something. It's easy to chronicle; it's maybe much harder to actually do it. So 2010, I left my job, set up Ola. I was then also still a young 24-year-old kid who had no idea what I was getting into. But I think when you are young and you don't have anything to lose, that's when the best decisions happen, I guess.
Right. So I want to take you back a little bit. You obviously went through the JEE, and I believe you made more than one attempt, and the second one got you right on the top. You were in the rank at 23 or some such. So what made you stay on after the first? And is there something for us to learn from how you did this? What is this perseverance? Where does it come from?
Absolutely, sir. So my journey was that after I finished my 10th standard in Ludhiana, in one of the top schools in Ludhiana, I went to Kota to study for my IIT entrance exams, along with my 11th and 12th standard. And at that time, Kota was, and even today, Kota is the premier center to go to if you want to get into the IITs. Right. So I went to Kota, 2 years there. First time I was out of home. So first time I was experiencing freedom in my life. And as you can imagine, a young 14-year-old, first time experiencing freedom would do everything except study. Right. So 2 years, I did a little bit of studying, but I also had a bit of a growing up experience outside of home. So I couldn't get through to IIT in the first attempt. And I came back home to Ludhiana after that, not really disheartened, because I was too young to be disheartened, frankly. I was just going through the motions. And then my father said to me, he sat me down and said, Beta, you have two choices. You can either join a good college in Punjab, let's say a Thapar or something. And I had reasonable academics to join those colleges. Or if you want to give one more year, you can go into IIT, but the choice is yours. So I said, okay, Dad, let me sleep over it. So I slept over it. And then the next day I said, 1 year when I'm just 15, 16 years old doesn't make any difference. So I decided to give it one more shot. And, that 1 year taught me a lot, because life is in many ways, when I look back, it's not about the failures you have, but it's about how you pick yourself up from those failures and in a resilient way, build towards your dreams. Right. So, time after time, that kind of getting yourself up has come in handy for me, as for so many others in life.
So as the headmaster said in his introduction, while at Microsoft, you had filed 2 patents already, and you published 3 papers in international journals. What made you then leave that place? And what was it in you that drove you to become an entrepreneur? Because Microsoft is considered an amazing company.
Absolutely, sir. I had a very good job out of college. I was, 2 years. I really enjoyed my time there, and it was a job which was towards my interest in technology. So I was not doing management or analytics or anything. I was actually doing hardcore technology. So I was really enjoying myself working on cutting edge technologies which would come out in the next few years. And I learned a lot, frankly, about the world of technology and business in those 2 years at Microsoft. But at the back of my mind and somewhere inside, there was always the kida that I want to do something, and that had always remained in me from my upbringing in Ludhiana. Like I mentioned, being surrounded by people from business families and people who do business, looking up to them. It was always in me that I have to do something of my own, right? So I decided after 2 years at Microsoft that I will give it a shot. And I spoke to my parents while they did not understand why. They were supportive about it. Credit to my parents that they said, okay.
I believe there was also some pushback when your parents or your mother particularly said, you want to become a travel agent or a taxi operator?
It was actually my grandfather who said that.
Okay.
They couldn't understand what, in 2010, it was too early in the internet space to really understand what's happening. Right? This was not the exciting space it has become today. So they were concerned about their elder boy, as I would expect any parent to be. But credit to them, they stuck with me. They stuck with my whims and fancies. Let me experiment and let me have my own, bounces on my chin and learn from my own mistakes. So, so that's what led me to leave Microsoft, even though I was having a lot of fun there, a lot of enjoyment, a lot of learning. But sometimes you feel within yourself that you are, while you are good at what you're doing right now, but there's something else you want to do, in line with your own dreams for yourself and what you aspire for, right? And in those times, if you follow your heart, it always ends up well, I guess.
So tell us a little bit more about following your heart. We've all seen from the outside Ola's story. It's like a dream story. Tell us how this idea turned into this large, giant, multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
When we started off in 2010, sir, we were based in Mumbai. That's because that was my college city, me and my co-founder. And we used to live out of a BHK apartment, which was also our office. Right. So that's how we started off. So because we didn't have much personal money to invest, and our parents were also not really, it's not like we could have taken too much money from them. So we started off very, very small, very organic, led primarily by our own instincts and our aspirations. So we started with one city, which was Mumbai. We built a website where you could book intercity travel from Mumbai to Pune or Mumbai to Nashik, etc. And nobody used to, in 2010, book on the website. There was a phone number on the website, which was my personal phone number. So people used to call that. So I used to be the call center of Ola in 2010. so that was the origins of Ola. And over the years, as we grew bigger, as we learned more about the industry, as we learned more about the opportunity in the mobility ecosystem, we slowly expanded from one city to 3 cities to, in 2015, we expanded to 100 cities. And, over the years now, today, we are the largest mobility platform in India. And we've also expanded internationally. We operate in the UK and Australia, New Zealand. And we've also now broadened our business into electric vehicles, because that is what we believe the future of energy and the future of transportation. So all these steps have been a series of decisions. Every 3-4 years, we are faced with a decision and a fork in the road, if you may say so. Where do you want to keep doing what you're doing, or do you want to try something else and try something which might scare you again, right? Thankfully, we've always so far come out good on the other side. I think it's the journey of an entrepreneur, the journey of a business leader, and frankly, the journey of everyone. All the students of Doon School, such young, bright aspirations amongst them. There will always be such folks in the road for everybody, right? And in the end, if you follow your heart and back yourself to succeed, you will succeed.
Well said. I want to take you back a little bit into teams, because you are now a large organization. There is much written about the systems, processes, management style in the organization. We had, interestingly, recently at Doon School, we were asked some questions as to why so many teachers have left. So I said, frankly, it makes me sad and it makes me glad. Sad because it's always sad to see a family member leave. Glad because many of them have went on to become leaders of schools. There are more than 36 schools today whose heads are teachers or former teachers of the Doon School. And some of them went to be with their families, and some, frankly, the school was not happy with. So it's interesting thing. But what we have brought in as new talent is absolutely fantastic. Each replacement we have attempted to see if we can do even better. We had good people, but this gave us an opportunity. What are the opportunities that you look at? Where is it whenever there's a problem or a crisis that you find a way to get better?
So, like you said, organizations are absolutely important, and as the institution or the company evolves, organizations also evolve with it, and people also evolve with it. There is never the perfect answer for perpetuity, right? When we were a small company, we had a very different kind of an organization. It was we all could fit into one room, and we all could meet each other every day. The role of systems and processes was minimal. Speed and hustle meant everything. To when, let's say we were a relatively mid-sized organization 3-4 years ago, we started putting in some systems. We also realized that some of the people who had grown with us till then were good, but we needed a very different kind of talent to bring in more strategic outlook, more industry experience. So we changed our organization at that point. And even today, where we are, we have, as an organization, as Ola, we have further inflected to broaden the kind of organization we are. It's a very good mix of youth, young people who have continued with us, as well as experience. Youth are able to bring a kind of energy and passion, and frankly, a new perspective to an old problem statement. And experienced people know what mistakes not to make because the youth will make the mistakes, and the experienced people know what mistakes not to make. So I've tried to build Ola as a blend of both cultures, young and old. And I have the easy job in that sense because I'm in the middle now. I'm neither young nor old. Right? So I get to play both sides.
How do you get these people to believe in your dream?
So
it is a dream which is driving you and driving the organization.
Yeah. So in the end, the dream is what drives everybody. And if you look at our ambition and our vision, right, we want to create a sustainable future for ourselves, and we all also want to create a country where India is the most technologically advanced economy in the world. And we believe as the youth, as the young company, we have a major role to play in that transformation. And if you look at the India of today, there are so many opportunities for youngsters and, young organizations like ourselves. India is a large enough market economy. India has access to capital. Companies like Ola have access to capital. 20 years ago, this ecosystem was not there. India is digitizing in a very fast way. India is increasingly becoming a more closer integrated part of the global value chains and the global demand and supply chains. So in many ways, this is the moment, this is the time when the youth, our generation, we have the opportunity as well as the responsibility to make the most of the decade in front of us and truly transform the country and transform ourselves. And the domain we have picked up at Ola is mobility, because mobility is core to human society. Mobility is core to human progress. And if we can help move mobility forward by building future technological paradigms here in India for the entire world, right? Be it electrification, be it shared mobility, be it new ways of retail around mobility or financial services, I believe that's a massive impact we all can, as Ola, leave behind for our communities. And that's something that energizes me. That's something that energizes everybody at Ola. This mission of doing something which can add a lot of value, and frankly, doing something which has not been done before, and doing it at the scale.
Yep, that's great. Because clearly, scale allows you to have impact which you cannot otherwise have. So tell me, what lessons, since we are in the middle of this right now, what lessons has the pandemic taught you?
So the pandemic has been, frankly, the most transformative event for all of us, and especially for me and for Ola. It has really taught us that we need to think about sustainability in more holistic way. And sustainability doesn't just mean environment. Sustainability means communities. Sustainability means cost structures of our businesses. It obviously means the environment. If you look at today, the awareness of the need for having a much more pro-environment business model is much higher than 2 years ago. The need for having a business model which is much more empathetic towards the communities it serves is much more higher than 2 years ago. And the need for having more sustainable cost structures as businesses is much more relevant today than 2 years ago. And these are the three themes that we took on when we got into the pandemic 1.5 years ago. We We had the big choice to make around business models. We decided that we will accelerate our journey into electrification. We also decided to go deeper and build a better platform for our entire driver ecosystem in our ride-sharing business. And we also took a deep, hard look at our cost structures and realized that there's a lot of better work we have to do as a company to become more sustainable and, frankly, more profitable, right? So that we can continue to serve our communities and serve the mission that we have taken on. Right. And kudos to the team at Ola that we have been able to get towards that journey. A lot of it is still ahead of us. But those are three themes which I believe are relevant not just for Ola, but for any entity, because consumers today versus consumers 2 years ago, governments today versus governments 2 years ago, businesses today versus businesses 2 years ago, everything is different. And now looking ahead, we have to really realize our full potential individually and as our own organizations. We really need to get control of these macro trends that are happening.
Fantastic. Bhavish, I have to thank you for this absolutely wonderful, short but meaningful interaction. So what you're saying is it's eventually all about people's interaction with communities and with the planet. So to get a way to align all of these interests is the best way to be successful for yourselves, for your organization, and for society at large. So thank you very much, Bhavish. This is truly appreciated. Thank you for being the chief guest. And at some other occasion, we would certainly like to invite you to visit the Chandbagh campus, walk around the place, talk to the students physically, and also talk to our faculty and staff.
Absolutely,
thank you.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to being there in person. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bhavish. This was a wonderful interaction, and thank you, Chairman, for putting some real good questions to him so that the boys could learn from his experience. Though the Chairman took a little bit of he snatched a little bit of my storytelling, and I would still like to narrate a little anecdote about, I'm a storyteller, so I cannot resist my storytelling, yeah. And this is an anecdote, a real life from a story from his life, Bhavish Agarwal. Bhavish was when in Microsoft, he was ill-treated by one of the taxi. And his bad experience with the taxi made him think about opening the Ola. And that is where he met his co-founder and Ankit Bhatti. And that's where they both got together and thought of opening Ola. But this idea was very new. So when he came back to Ludhiana and talked to his parents that this is what he wants to do, and that is exactly what his parents said. They said, you want to be a taxi agency, something like that's what they thought. And he said, no, let me do it. And they actually allowed him to do. And that's where the idea came to him and he started going ahead. The story of success is again what he was talking to you boys yesterday, and I would like to reiterate here to everyone. He told one thing very specific, and that was, think big, dream big to achieve big. And that's the underlying word is, if you do not have big dreams, if you do not have big ideas, you'll never achieve anything big in your life. And that is what is the underline to his success story and to the story made of his successful Ola. And he goes on. With this, I once again thank Mr. Bhavish Agarwal for being our chief guest and having a wonderful interaction with our chairman. Now, last but not the least, it's very, very important. We have the vote of thanks by our school captain, Nerath Patnaik. Over to you, Nerath.
On behalf of the whole school, I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Bhavish Agarwal, for his thought-provoking and inspiring words. We're all motivated by his journey so far, and I truly hope all DOSCOs have finally made up their minds on the transportation they will use outside the gates of Chandbagh. It's a pity that our chief guest could not join us today, but I hope he visits Chandbagh soon. I would also like to thank our chairman, Mr. Sunil Munjal, the members of the Board of Governors, and to everyone from the headmaster to masters and all support staff who have been an integral role in making this Founders Day a special Founders Day. Giving a speech always seems like a difficult task, though, in my eyes, the time that goes into writing one is the true challenge. There's always so much to talk about, but so little to truly delve into. Standing here within the circular boundaries of the Rose Bowl with the sight of my fellow DOSCOs, along with my beloved masters, feels like a gamble that played out in my favor. As a majority of you are aware, for the past year and a half, most of us have been living our lives in Doon online. Having the opportunity to stand here and deliver my speech itself feels like a victory. And this is my victory speech. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, respected chief guest, members of the Board of Governors, headmaster, masters, parents, old boys, and of course, my very dear DOSCOs. Now, my journey with the Doon School started long before I entered the gates of the DOSCO. I had visited school on numerous occasions as my brother too was a part of this institution. And trust me when I say this, every time I entered through the gates, I believed I'd entered a utopic land, a land which I needed to be a part of. After struggling for 5 continuous years of visiting this school, but continuously getting stuck in the guest seating section, I had eventually made my way into the herd of boys in grey blazers, grey trousers, and simple striped ties. It so happened that my first 19 days in school overlapped with my brother's last 19. While he was an SCL and I was a new C former, shadowed by his name and success in this institution, I set out to start my own journey. And also add another 5 years of travel fee for my parents' expenditure. You see, several of us seated here have been in a situation such as mine, where some family member had studied at this great institution, hence majority of your time before entering through the gates as a DOSCO are mostly spent on hearing about how great life in Doon is. But that image of school usually lasts until the first extra PT or form is given, in which we have all showered curses and newly learned galis on the members of the family who praise Doon endlessly. Now, I do not blame the young deformer for his frustration and zero compliance in the initial few months of school, because I myself have questioned my decision in my initial months about the difference between Doon and any other school. But as I stand here today and deliver my speech, though I might not be the best debater, I can clearly say this is a debate I can always win and prove that this school is truly unlike any other. You see, the Doon School is a unique institution. Yes, I know you've heard several school captains before me say this very line. But in my eyes, the only thing that makes this place special and everything else is the product of this, for me, that is the master-student relationship, because it is filled with depth, emotion, connect, and passion. Several school captains before me have stood here in the position where I stand and have mentioned the importance of this relationship. However, I would truly like to delve into this because I believe that this bond is the holy grail of this institution. Everything else as a school that we are praised for in and out of the classrooms is just a mere fraction of what this relationship resulted in. Exactly a week ago, I was released from my quarantine house, perhaps better described as my quarantine room, and in some way being restricted to a single room while there lies a 75-acre campus of beauty didn't really help my mind function the best way it could have. This resulted in me struggling with a considerable phase of writer's block for the entirety of my quarantine while trying to write this speech. But after I was finally out, I decided to make my way to the favorite place, my favorite place on campus, which is here, the Rose Bowl. On my way to the Rose Bowl last Saturday night, I bumped into Mr. Shrey Nagalia, better known as SNA. As I touched his feet, in my mind I was expecting this interaction to be a very brief one. And he is not a master I come across every day in my school life. Neither was he my teacher through the years. He wasn't in any way linked to me. But to my surprise, we ended up speaking for a duration which we both could not bother keeping track of. And this was probably my very first proper interaction with him. And here you see, this is a clear example of the typical master and student relationship here at Doon. Well, we do not have to be too familiar with one another to be able to share the same love for this institution. Both SNA and I harbor similar feelings and admiration for the school, and in turn also feel and have the same mindset towards how the school needs to improve. And I'm rest assured that if I were to be having this very conversation with any other master seated here, I would be able to see the same love and emotion for this institution. Towards the end of my conversation, SNA sir eventually remembered he was an housemaster and asked me, "Where are you off to so late at night?" Yes, 30 minutes too late, but this prompted me to be able to share my most beloved memory of my school journey with him. Incidentally, he played an integral role in this. This goes back to my C form, where I used to think I knew a lot about CVs and college applications after constantly eavesdropping on my brother's conversations with the little man in Bombay, and automatically assume that if I'm a part of the AV squad, I'm already above everyone else in the college race. It's a different thing that the tables have turned now, but it was the best time of the year. It was Founders' time. The decorations coming in, the cold setting in, bright sun, beautiful clouds everywhere, and most importantly, seeing SCs running after the housemasters to get their house colors done just in time. As I said, it was Founders' time. I was a part of the AV squad working in the Rose Bowl for the English play that year, the play that went wrong. I had one job on the final day, and that was to point the spotlight at the main character. But in a broader sense, I had a much bigger role in that. At least, that was how I was meant to feel. The magic in this school is the sense of belonging. No matter where you come from, how well spoken you are, how much money you have, or even whether you have or do not have any legacy in this institution. Here, you will always feel a sense of belonging. This school is for everyone, and the very moment you enter through the gates of Chandbagh, it is a fresh start and a new beginning. It is here where no one receives a head start or any preferences. Everyone is equal and everyone must work their way towards success and fame in this institution. Now coming back to the memory of the English play back in my C form, you all must be wondering why after so many years in Doon, I would want to mention that in such a special speech. Let me tell you why. For me, it was the late night practices until 4 a.m. For me, it was a sleight of hand by the kind seniors that resulted in the most desired rendezvous with butter chicken and naan. For me, it was the late night strolls and eventually deciding who would drop who first, so only one of us could keep chanting Jai Mata Di while crossing the main field all alone in pitch darkness. Yes, I do speak from experience. For me, it was the ability to tell anyone who woke me up for breakfast the next day, "I'm excused." And finally, for me, it was something I had never felt before being so young. But it was truly a week which put my expectations for the school way above what I had presumed. You see, the present scenario in school is that the current D, C and B form have not had the similar gradual initiation and understanding of the way school functions. Neither have they had their seniors have the opportunity to pass on traditions and the ethos of the school. I remember my junior forms where each year was a step towards maturing in this institution, under the guidance of those who at the time seemed like intimidating seniors to me. The lessons I learned observing them have carried me to where I am today. To the current junior forms, I would like to therefore say, keep an open mind and have faith in the school system. Do learn, grow, and develop into the DOSCOs that both school and your parents can be proud of. Now, to my immediate juniors, I'm talking about A and S forms, who have a great responsibility on their shoulders to carry forward this legacy that Doon is famous for. Because the magic in this school is one of a kind, and the process of passing knowledge and experience needs to percolate down to the junior batches through you. Be mindful that the best values and practices of this school are what will help you get back on track and this institution to what we truly are. Though I am yet only a student, the beauty of Chandbagh is that each one of us, young and old, is given the liberty to speak on matters that concern the welfare of this school. In that respect, I would like to appeal to all new masters who joined us in the past 2 years during the pandemic and perhaps have not yet had the opportunity to fully assimilate and absorb the true spirit of Doon and what it means to truly serve here. Since my batch and I have only been here for about 10 days and we have only a few months left, we envy you and your onward journey and sincerely hope you will appreciate and value everything that the Doon experience offers to eventually grow and add to the legacy of this institution. Now, to my most beloved masters, you have been instrumental in shaping the character and reputation of this school over so many dedicated years of service. It has disturbed me to learn of the departure of some of my favorite teachers, each of them being stalwarts of their own rights. But all I would like to say to you is thank you. A thank you for not only your service inside the classrooms, but for everything. From being there when no one asked you, to taking initiative to help when it wasn't your turn. And that, for me, is a Doon School master. They function from what their heart feels, not from their fixed mindsets. That is the very reason we call teachers here in Doon masters. To all those masters, all I must say with all humility is that remember that in this school, we are known to be inclusive. It is here where all opinions matter and no one should ever fear to oppose. It is here where long stretch conversations and at times arguments take place to eventually take a decision upon something. Work to improve this school together because we are Doon and we are one. Now, eventually I would like to come to my batch. I know it's saddening that our parents and dear ones couldn't join us today in our final Founders Day. But the very fact that more than half of you are seated here together gives me satisfaction, happiness, and hope that the coming times can surely be tackled. We as a batch have experienced Doon from the very crisp, and yes, we are seeing changes, and we are seeing a new normal. But all we can do in our remaining time in school is help make this new normal a normal which future DOSCOs and leaders can admire as much as we do. Yes, it is a fact of my life that I will only get one Founders Day speech. Just standing here and delivering my thoughts is a memory which I will truly never forget. I thank Doon for being the place which transformed me to the person I am today. And I thank members of this school for making Doon the special place it is. I hope and pray that the coming batches have their Founders Day with a full Rose Bowl and a fully decorated campus. But until then, I wish everyone present here and also watching from whichever part of the world you're at a very happy Founders Day. Thank you. I would like to call the headmaster back to address the gathering.
Thank you, Nerit. This was real from your heart, what you spoke. And I hope all your immediate juniors and the way down would understand what you have given a message very strong. And to the young masters, what you have said, I'm sure you have already set the pace. And it's a very important fact what he's just said in his speech. And I think coming from the school captain and the founders is very important. Thank you so much, Nerit, once again for this lovely speech. Ladies and gentlemen, how much I wish you all would have been here to see the next event. And you look forward to when the boys of all form assemble here with the instruments to put up a show for all of us. Unfortunate, second consecutive year, we could not have a live show for you. But nevertheless, we don't want to break the legacy of this great institution, and we want you to enjoy what the boys at campus really have prepared in the music school for you. Now we have for you, please stay back, don't go, because this is a very, very important 15-minute program, what the boys and girls of the Doon School have prepared, the music school. Let's have the broadcast for the music for all of us. Thank you.
Music, more than any other form of art perhaps, gives us profound insights into transcending from being human to becoming humane. It is in several ways the fabric of our lives and the definition of society. The pandemic has made us realize our place in this world and taught us life's lessons in many ways. It has driven us to a ravine and forced us to revisit the significance of our existence. The musical piece Operos is a tribute to the calibration of our nation's 75th year of independence, which celebrates the value of unity in diversity. The opening piece, Eye of the Tiger, is a song by the American rock band Survivor. This is an iconic anthem about grit, determination, and survival. Arranged for choir and orchestra, this epitomizes the thrill of the fight. The next piece flawlessly moves to the tarana set on Teen Tal in Rag Jaunpuri, a traditional composition from the Patiala Gharana composed by Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab. The amalgamation of the tarana bandish, beautifully crafted with the piano and the guitar movement, brings a unique perspective to the rag, which seamlessly moves to the next melodic movement in the orchestral composition in Rag Kirwani. The unique melodic movement of the composition and the solo lines of the sitar, the harmonium, and the santoor, with a lively rhythmic texture, brings out the unique flavor of North Indian and Carnatic music, skillfully interwoven with a rhythmic ripple. The dynamic nature of a dialogue between the percussion instruments builds up energy and leads to the Sawal Jawab section and concludes with a dazzling Tihai. This moves to a traditional composition of Sania Bangash Gharana in Rag Khamaj, set on Adha Tal and composed by Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Sahab. The final movement is the humble tribute to the nation by the Doon School Choir and Orchestra performing Vande Mataram. The complex melody line of the orchestra layered with the choir brings in multiple dimensions to the patriotic piece, followed by a coming together of all instruments and all voices in a spirited finale. For those at home, we recommend wearing earphones or headphones for an immersive experience. The Doon School Choir and Orchestra presents Operos.
ma pa ni da pa ma ga re ma pa ni da pa ma ga re sa na de re ta na de ta na de re na de re ta na na de re ta na de re ta na de ta na de ma.
Thank you, Music School, for this wonderful performance. And I'm sure everybody with a standing ovation here, of course, has proved the testimony to the fact that how much you have enjoyed this. For a little while, I may again like to invite Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal, to come in. He has a little bit of a address to make. May we have Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal.
Thank you, Headmaster. No address, but just a couple of more thank yous. One is a big thank you to the school captain for a wonderful address and a wonderful thank you note, and for leading the team at school. Well done. Great show. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the contribution of the parent members on the board. I've dealt with three of them. Saloni Goyal, Ruchi Rastogi, and now Padma Lakshmi. Each one has brought something unique to the board and its deliberation. I also want to say a big thank you to the university reps that we have. Earlier, Professor Ranbir Singh, and now Dr. Pankaj Mittal. Both are thinking individuals and have helped us to look at some things from a different perspective. And of course, again, a big thank you to the entire team at the school. And I want to make sure that everyone understands how much we appreciate what they do, including the bearers in the houses, in the CDH, people maintaining the grounds and etc. in these very difficult circumstances. And on the academic front, big thank you to our Dean Academics, Debashish Chakrabarti. Great show. Thank you very much to all of you. All of us have our work cut out, and I can see that the amazing dedication and commitment with which this is being done, that not just keeps us afloat, but keeps us thriving. Good luck and good wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, please stay back with us when we are putting forward this broadcast of the real hard work done by our boys and girls in the school. With lot of effort for last so many days, they have put up exhibition in maths, D&T, art, and you would be amazed to see the work, what they have done. This is a truncated exhibition broadcast, what we are just broadcasting to you now after this. I hope you stay back and enjoy this exhibition. May we request for the broadcast of exhibitions. Thank you.
So it gives me immense pleasure to invite you to the Founders Exhibition 21.
Thank you, Mariam. It gives me a lot of happiness and a privilege to inaugurate the exhibition by Maths, D&T, and Art Department. This is a work which the boys display when they put up these exhibitions. And every year in the Founders Day, they try to showcase their talent. It gives me so much of happiness today to inaugurate the Founders Day Exhibition 2021. Thank you.
Yatho Shikha Mayuranam Naganam Maryo Yatha Tad Vedang Shastranam Garitam Murdhni Vartate. Like the crowning crest of a peacock and the shining gem in a cobra's hood, Maths is situated similarly as the supreme Vedang Shastras. This profound shlok from Yajurved is not just symbolic of this year's Founders Exhibition theme, but also opens us up to comprehend how entrenched mathematics is within the four walls of Chandbagh. Starting from the precise timing at which the school bell wakes us up every morning, to the discerning patterns our classrooms are arranged in, we see how DOSCOs never fail to optimize the length and time taken for them to travel from one classroom to another. It is also often overlooked how the ground malis curate our delightful main field with the utmost accuracy, or how the CDH staff ensures, through permutations and combinations, that there is enough variety of food for each and every one of us. It would be hard to miss the extensive application of statistics when we boast about our own house's achievements, or the geometry of the unique arches and architecture that defines our reminiscent view of the campus that we call home. It is such small but powerful moments that are tacitly centered around mathematics that we aim to showcase from this exhibition. With that said, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the Founders Mathematics Exhibition 2021, a tribute to the subject that silently defines how our lives function.
Hello everyone, I'm Kana Modi of grade 10 and I'm here to present the clinometer. Looks kind of simple, right? But this instrument is a very important invention by William Abney in the 1870s. It is used for measuring angles of slope, elevation or depression of an object. We can use the clinometer to measure the height of tall things that you can't possibly reach to the top of, like flagpoles, buildings, trees, etc. Use of a clinometer with a specific mathematical formula, height into distance into angles, assess geologists to assess the height of a tree or a mountain. Thank you.
Have you ever wondered how the height of the main building can be calculated? Using a tape measure or a ruler would be way too impractical. Instead, a very smart man called John Bird came up with the idea of using trigonometry. If we know the angle of elevation of an object, we can use trigonometry to find out the height of the object. The sextant is much more accurate and precise than its simple looking counterpart, the clinometer, which Karnav just showed you. The body is made out of brass. This is the index bar and this is the arc. The index bar glides across the arc and tells you the angle. It moves the index mirror. The index mirror shows you the object. This is the horizon mirror. The horizon mirror has two parts, the see-through part and the reflective part.
Greetings everyone. Today I am going to present to you something about relations and functions. So first of all, I would like to tell you something about relations and functions. They work upon a basic rule. If you input a number into a relation, it will give you an output. Output will depend on the input you give, meaning it will be dependent on the input. Here is a simple representation of how functions work. There are four main types of functions. One is one-to-one function, second is many-to-one functions, third is one-to-many functions, and fourth is many-to-many functions. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Greetings to all. Everyone wants to be strong and self-sufficient, but few are willing to put in the work necessary to receive worthy goods. Keeping this quote in mind by Mahatma Gandhi, today I, Vansha Vardhana from B Firm, am presenting the DOSCO lamp and Gandhiji's chakra, which are two great symbols of strength and self-sufficiency. These models here are made by judo blocks. Judo blocks are simple representations of big Lego blocks to a layman. With the help of judo blocks, it becomes a lot easier to understand the measurement of space. Aiding to its advantage is the fact that judo blocks are tangible, which arises a sense of clarity and understanding. The other advantage of judo blocks is present in ratio and proportion.
You just witnessed a small fragment of our effort to celebrate the Founders Day and the presence of mathematical minds in Chanba. With that, we come to the end of the exhibits. We sincerely hope you enjoy the display of these interesting mathematical concepts by the young minds and were able to take something from it. On behalf of our mathematical community, I would like to thank you for joining us in celebrating this profound study. Thank you.
Welcome to this section of the Maths exhibition. My name is Kabir Subaya and I will be your guide to this section, namely modeling our identity through the graphic display calculator. The graphic display calculator is more than just a calculator. It's more than just a learning tool. It is a learning partner. Sheel Vora. Mr. Sheel Vora is someone who is fondly remembered in the Doon School campus. The Maths department recollects his love for trigonometry, but also his memory and its connect to maths. In fact, I spoke to one of Sheel Vora's previous students, and he told me about a short story with regard to Mr. Sheel Vora. In school, each student has a school number. My school number is 645. And these school numbers are recycled. So after your 6 years in school, your school number may actually be given to another boy. Mr. Sheel Vora, from memory, was actually able to create a register under the titles of each school number. So if my school number is 645, he created a register titled 645, under which every boy since 1935 who had that school number, their names were written. And this register is actually available at the Doon School archives. That level of memory and that degree of dedication is why Mr. Sheel Vora is such a respected figure, even in today's understanding of the Doon School.
Greetings to the house at large. My friends and I are extremely pleased to welcome you to our presentation, A Student's Journey Through Geometer's Sketchpad. The Geometer's Sketchpad is a commercial geometry software which is used to explore algebra, geometry, and other such areas of mathematics. This is also the platform that we've used today in creating our presentation.
Today, Beer and I will be presenting to you an animated Indian flag, which is also known as the Tiranga. It is a tricolored flag consisting of 3 rows. The top row is saffron in color, the middle row is white, and finally the bottom row is green in color. In the middle row, we have a navy blue Ashok Chakra, which has 24 spokes. This flag has various mathematical properties, and using the power of maths and computer science, we'll present to you an animated Tiranga. First, let's go over the properties of the Tiranga. The width to height ratio of this flag is 3:2, which means the width or its horizontal ends are 1.5 times longer than the height of the flag. This flag is a rectangle which is divided into 3 congruent rectangles, with the Ashok Chakra placed at the center of the white rectangle. The Ashok Chakra is practically a circle which consists of 24 spokes, which can be considered to be its radii. Since the total angle of a circle is 360 degrees, the gap between each spoke/radius is given by 360 divided by 24, which gives us an angle of 15 degrees or pi by 12 radians between each spoke. Our animation. In our animation, we have utilized the properties of a sine graph and its oscillation to provide an animated flag. As visible in our work, the horizontal lines are moving and the vertical lines are stationary. The horizontal lines are in fact sine curves. As most of us know, a sine graph passes through the origin with a wavelength of 360 degrees, 2 pi radians, and an amplitude of 1. In our flag, we have 4 horizontal lines, with each line being just a transformation of the original sine curve. The formula of an original sine curve is given by f of x is equal to sine x, where x is the angle. However, the 4 lines produced by us are all transformations of the graph a into f of x, where a is equals to 1. These are equidistant as shown by the equation mentioned next to the flag. Once we plot these lines, the program allows us to vary the value of a in a way that it keeps oscillating between 1 and -1, as a result producing this animation.
the inexhaustible drive of the school is sustained by the vigor of those who inhabit it, just as the quadratic function stretches to infinity. Here, the beauty of functions, combined with the ancient practices of yoga as our medium, has led to the creation of math yoga, making for a unique, refreshing, and poignant expression of mathematics. Thus, without further ado, presenting exhibiting functions through math yoga. Stand up. Y equals to x. Y equals to negative x. Y equals to x square. Y equals to negative x square. Y equals to x cube. Y equals to negative x cube. Y equals to modulus x. Y equals to negative modulus x. And back to normal.
Y equals to x. Vertical translation up. Back to normal. Vertical translation down. Back to normal. Y equals to negative x. Vertical translation up. Back to normal. Y equals to negative x square. Vertical translation up. Back to normal. Vertical translation down. Back to normal. Y equals to negative x cube. Vertical translation up. Back to normal. Vertical translation down. Back to normal. Y equals to modulus x. Vertical translation up. Back to normal. Vertical translation down. Back to normal. Y equals to negative modulus x. Vertical translation up. Back to normal. Vertical translation down. Back to normal. Normal posture.
This marks the end of exhibiting functions through math yoga. Thank you.
The art department welcomes you all to the 86th Founders Art Exhibition, Umwelt. So here we see a portrait made by Siddhant Agarwal of Mahatma Gandhi, which is in the medium of charcoal on a grey toned paper. This is with respect to the 75th Independence Day theme that the art department followed for this exhibition. This is another painting made by Vedant Gatani, who was inspired by Paul Klee and infused a bit of Indian element like the doodling we see on the bottom of the painting. These are a couple of my artworks, and mainly this big portrait is what I thought would be best for this year's founders because of the 75-year independence theme. This is a portrait of Subhash Chandra Bose, and if you look at all of my artworks as a whole, you can see that I have a passion for making portraits, and we can see one was inspired by the COVID element, one was of Jiddu Krishnamurthy, considering his contribution to worldwide education. These are a couple of artworks made by Ansh Gupta. Both of these artworks are done in oil on canvas, and these are inspired by the Kisan's protest that is still going on. This was done due to the respect that he felt that agriculture has in India, and we can see that because 60% of India's GDP does come from agriculture. So this artwork held that much value for him. I'm glad that you could all be a part of the Doon School's 86th Founders Art Exhibition. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Shrivar Knodia, and today I'll be taking you through the TNT exhibition. I would like to start with the mementos we've created for the passing out batch. These mementos are symbolic of our time at Doon. They are a form of remembrance for us when we are at home. They would showcase our time at school, and they would help us remember how we felt, how our daily lives were at Doon. Moving on, I would now like to talk about Veer Nigam's design. This is a toolbox which has been inspired from a pineapple. The toolbox will be placed at the DNT lab in school, and it will help us organize different tools in different spaces. It's a multi-purpose toolbox because it has 4 different sections along with different shelves, and it helps us store different materials and different tools according to our needs. Moving on, I would now like to talk about Tejveer Singh Dhingra's multi-purpose furniture. This furniture is quite an innovative design because it can be used as a table, a chair, a storage, a stool, many different things. As you can see, we have different pieces stacked together, and we can arrange them however we like to use it for whatever need we have. I would now like to take you to Anish Reddy's dining table. Over here we can see that the form follows structure. The table is in a triangular shape, and the chair also is made in a similar way, and it helps create a design aesthetic, and it also helps us use the table and the chair in a more efficient way. Over here you can see that we have a storage space on the top. This space allows the users to access the storage at the top very easily. It can simply be pulled up using this hole over here. Additionally, we also have storage space at the chair. How this helps us is that it helps us utilize space. Someone can easily access whatever they need, and they don't need to create an extra storage space just for that. Next, we have Aryan Gautam's study table. The design is very versatile, it gives a very modern look. Additionally, it again has a storage space, which again utilizes one of the design principles. We also have the Doon School lamp with us. We created this using computer-aided design, a laser cutter, and we employed different techniques to make this lamp. Thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed this year's Design and Technology exhibition.
Thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I would just like to express our gratitude to the media team who have been working extremely hard to make this live to all of us, and to all you boys and girls, staff members, and everyone who have made this Founders so special. Thank you for being with us. Hope to see you all in person next year when we have the Founders Day 22. Till then, goodbye. Have a wonderful evening ahead.